Laura Nyrider, Brendan Dassey's attorney, joins us now. Laura, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
90 days, Brendan Dassey free. How much of a possibility and a reality is that?
Well, we're actually in a little bit of a complex situation here. So what happened on Friday is that a federal court threw out Brendan's conviction, and it gave the state of Wisconsin three options. The state can release Brendan. It could instead decide to retry Brendan, although it won't be able to use his confession against him. If they decide to retry him, that process has to be started within 90 days. And then the third option that the state has is it could appeal Friday's ruling, in which case everything else gets put on hold. So right now we're waiting to see what the state is going to decide to do.
So retry would mean he is charged with the crime again, but this time the confession is not admissible, correct?
That's exactly right.
So which for you of those three options is the one that you would hope doesn't happen?
Well, I'll tell you. How about if I tell you which one I hope does happen, which is Brendan's release?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, that's what that's what we want. That's what Brendan wants. That's what his family wants, and I think that's the right result here too. Is to have Brendan out of prison. Spent 10 years there on the basis of this confession that the court found unreliable.
How is Brendan's mental health at this time? Because I can only imagine the stress of prison life, and especially after a crime he didn't commit, and considering that he does have a low IQ, I feel like he could be a target in a situation like that.
Brendan is doing remarkably well. He's a gentle soul. He's the same guy today that you see on the interrogation tape in a lot of ways, even though he's, of course, 10 years older. He's 26 years old now. He's a sweet guy. He's focused on his family. His mom is his rock, has been his rock for the past 10 years. And the support he gets from his family, from his mother especially, is, that means everything to him. And especially after Making a Murderer came out in December, one thing that is sort of the light of Brendan's life these days are the letters he's been getting from around the world. Folks in Australia, folks in the UK, folks in Canada, across the United States have been writing him letters of support, just letting him know that they're with him. And he writes back to people as much as he can because
nice.
Those letters sustain him. Those people are becoming his rocks too.
Now, you came into the show right towards the end of the series. So by that stage, everything had already been pretty much wrapped up as far as production goes. So when you came on board, what were you aware had been shot that the where the show was at, and did you have any expectation of obviously how big this thing was going to be at the time?
After the final cut, we were in episode 10 and only episode 10, but we've actually been representing Brendan since 2007, since right after his trial. So we've been involved in the case a real long time. Of course, we were aware, starting in 2007, that Ms. Ricciardi and Demos were making this film, so we knew that they were trying to make a show about Brendan and Stephen's cases. But nobody expected Making a Murder to be what it's become. I'm so gratified. I'm so amazed and pleased and grateful that it has been. But who could expect this?
Now, to take nothing away from what you have done yourself, do you think the show has helped to get this ruling overturned for Brendan?
I can't answer that. I don't even know if this judge has even seen Making a Murderer. What I can say is that his decision that he released on Friday was 91 pages long. It was an incredibly detailed analysis of the facts of the case, of the evidence in the case, of the interrogation, every word that came out of the police officers' mouths, every word that came out of Brendan's mouth. It was really, really rooted in the evidence in this case. So, we're grateful for that thorough review based on the facts.
Is there any concerns, obviously, knowing that his uncle, Stephen Avery, had been exonerated for a previous crime as well, and in some respects that kind of fueled the fire of vendetta against him? Would there be, against the police that have been dubbed inappropriate and using improper methods during Brendan's interrogation, would there be any concerns over him being left alone to be a free man should he be out in 90 days? Yeah. No, I think he'll have a lot of folks looking out for him and helping him make wise decisions about how to stay safe from all kinds of people who will probably want to talk to him and want to stay on top of him. How has this whole experience for him? Is he an angry man? Has he just taken this as being his lot in life? Where is his head at?
It amazes me. It amazes me, but he's not angry. He's grateful. He's grateful. He's tried to make what he can of his life. behind bars. Obviously a lot of that has been staying involved with his family, staying involved as his brothers have grown up and gotten married and they've had children, trying to be an uncle as best he can to his nephews and his nieces, staying involved with his mother. He's gotten his GED. He's not just sort of given up on life. He's remained hopeful, which I think is going to serve him well if he does walk out of those doors.
So how realistic do you have to be with him about getting his hopes up?
Well, I think any lawyer will tell you you've got to be realistic with your clients and manage expectations, especially in a situation like this. You can put yourself in Brendan's position, right? He's been in prison since he's 16 years old. Think about all of the different parts of life that he's missed out on, 16 to 26. Think about all those formative experiences of, late adolescence, early adulthood, going out on your own, graduating high school, prom, learning to drive, all of these things, working your first job. He's missed out on a lot.
Now, knowing at the end of the series when Stephen was found guilty in particular, Jerry and Dean, his counsel, were very disappointed with the legal system. They felt that justice had let an innocent man down. For you, where you are at now, going in with Brendan's case and knowing that the police have used improper methods to coerce a confession, how does it make you feel about what you have done and what the justice system can do with the idea of there is a light at the end of the tunnel for Brendan Dassey?
Well, I think it's been hard to wait for Brendan for 10 years for justice in his case. There's a saying, the wheels of justice grind slowly. They do grind, but they grind slowly. And it's been hard for him to wait these 10 years and miss out on all those things that I was talking about, for a crime that he didn't commit. So I think there's a very justifiable sense of frustration that a lot of folks have at the idea that he's lost all this time. I think that one thing that Brendan's case shows us is that the way in which police question kids, especially kids like Brendan with disabilities, has got to change. Because that's one important lesson here, too, is that the interrogation tactics that the police were using against Brendan, those kind of tactics happen in interrogation rooms around the country and around the world on a daily basis. And they happen to a lot of kids, just like Brendan, but kids who weren't lucky enough to have cameras running at the time, right? So in a sense, Brendan, I like to call him the luckiest unlucky person I know.
And does he understand now what happened at the time and has a better understanding of how they got that, in quotation marks, confession out of him?
I think Brendan's got an understanding. Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, look, we hope that in 90 days' time it is a cause of celebration for you and Brendan. I'm sure a very long road for both of you and a lot of hard work, long nights and stressful mornings for you as well, in particular, Laura. Thank you very much for joining us and all the best for a positive outcome for you and Brendan.
And thank you guys for your support and the support of your listeners. It means the world to Brendan. It really does.